It's all quiet in the underground bunker. Doors closed, locks bolted. But the Great One isn't just resting on his laurels. He's making sure your weekend is even better by giving you his best. This is the best of Mark Levin.
It turns out I got an email earlier this morning, or maybe it was a text from Ben Ferguson. He said, "Congratulations, Mr. Producer." And I said, "For what?" May 5th, 2002 is when you started on radio. It's 23 years today when I started a Sunday show on WABC. 23 years ago today. Time flies when you're having fun. It doesn't seem like it. 23 years ago. And I was doing that program from noon to 2 in New York. I love New York. I love the people in New York. Well, not all of them. The libs, of course. But the good people of New York. And then we took over the 6 p.m. time slot on WABC September 2nd, 2003. And then syndicated February 6, 2006. We were expanded to 3 hours. February 2nd, 2009. I co-founded and started Levin TV March 7, 2016. Then we started on Fox, Life, Liberty, and Levin February 25, 2016. But the point is, 23 years ago today, the whole thing started. Started right here. Right here in New York. And then spread all over the country, Mr. Producer, like a bad virus. No, I'm just kidding. It's fantastic. I'm so honored. I'm so grateful. I'm so blessed to each and every one of you. It's the audience that makes this happen. The audience. The audience that makes this happen. And I'm going to tell you the God's honest truth. If it wasn't for Rush giving me advice and Hannity giving me advice, I really wouldn't be here. I really wouldn't be here. Now, I help them a lot too, but that's not my point. I had a lot of questions about how to pursue this, how to get affiliates, how to do this, how to do that. And these were two men, and are, the case of Sean, who could not have been more supportive. So I'll never forget that. This coming Monday, I have what I consider to be a very big announcement. This coming Monday. No reason to sit on the edge of your chair until next Monday. I'm just giving you a heads up. Now, where was I last week? Well, obviously, I was in Israel. Who invited me? Invited me and my family. Christians United for Israel. CUFI. Christians United for Israel. Founded by who I call and my family calls our pastor, John Hagee, of the Cornerstone Church in San Antonio, Texas. And his wonderful, wonderful family, Diana, his wife, Sandy, his daughter. We were there with other pastors, a bishop, not a bishop at the Catholic Church, but a bishop nonetheless. And with literally hundreds and hundreds of Christians and together with the Jews, thousands of people. I need to tell you something. Righteous Gentiles, that is, non-Jews. What a remarkable group of people you are. What a remarkable group of people you are. Anti-Semitism is not just on the rise, ladies and gentlemen, truly is everywhere. I'm not saying you got to look around your corner all the time, but it is blatant, it is horrible. It's all over the podcast industry. It's all over the internet and bloggers. It's all over Capitol Hill in Washington, D.C. The enemy, Qatar and others, are spending billions and billions of dollars, and they are influencing our media. They are influencing our culture, our politics. It is everywhere. All you have to do is when I post something on Mark Levin Show on our social sites is look at the comments. Go back to Israel Jew and just the most foul language. for posting my opinion. I consider myself a tremendous American patriot. This is my homeland. This is my country. My family's been here 100 years. Well, let's see, 120 years. 120 years. You just can't wash this off you, this hate. It's just unbelievable. And so CUFI, Christians United for Israel, and so many fantastic Christian leaders, Christian organizations, churches, who understand. When I talk about Iran, I'm talking about the United States. I'm talking about protecting our country. I'm talking about ICBMs with nuclear warheads. It is insanity to me, these people who think that it's either no big deal or they want to know if it's okay if they get nuclear weapons. No, it's not okay for the only terror state on the face of the earth to have a nuclear weapon. Now, that's not what I want to get into right now. I'm just explaining this. No, it's not okay for Qatar, which has 300,000 people, which is a pretend country. It was created out of nothing. A brutal dictatorship aligned with Iran, funded Hamas, to be funding our sports organizations and all these other things. There's no constitutional argument whatsoever to justify an enemy using their money to destroy our country. There's not a single founder or framer of the Constitution or serious constitutional expert who believes that. None. None. This isn't some great civil rights and civil liberties battle people are leading on behalf of these colleges and universities and free speech. That's a pathetic joke. Where are all of our conservative organizations that have been formed and created to fight what's going on our college campuses? Are they fighting the Islamo-Nazis? Are they fighting the funding from Qatar and Communist China? Are they there confronting the Islamo-Nazis and the Marxists? Are they? Maybe they are, but I don't hear much about it. I don't see much about it. The posting that's done on behalf of these organizations is about efforts that they oppose to protect Jews. And a twisted, radical view of free speech that has never existed. Never. When foreign governments are promoting boycotts in the United States, when foreign governments are promoting the boycott of American businesses in the United States that dare to do business with Jews, when foreign governments are threatening corporations that they will not do business with them if they do business with Jews, and Congress is stepping in and saying, no, we're going to make that illegal. That's not a First Amendment issue. That's insanity to claim that's a First Amendment issue. There's not a Supreme Court decision that says it's a First Amendment issue. It's been the position of the United States for half a century that this needs to be fought, because we cannot allow the tentacles of foreign governments to reach into our society with their money, with their influence, with their blackmail, with their boycotts to determine what takes place in our own country. That has nothing to do with the First Amendment. That's absurd. You want to go on a college campus and yell to the top of your lungs that you hate Jews? You're free to do it. You're free to march down the street like Nazis, the Supreme Court has ruled. Then do it. That's not what we're talking about here. Foreign governments, and what Congress wanted to do is expand it to NGOs, international organizations. You cannot influence what takes place in our country by using money to foment violent, riotous behavior, or behavior that contributes the hate and the rot that takes place in these societies and foments them in our society. If an individual wants to come into our country, comes in legally, and can't shut the hell up on their soapbox about Jews, they're free to do it. That's not what we're talking about. But we have imbeciles who just keep who just keep being stupid. Stupid. What's her name? Margaret Green? Whatever. What is her name? Is an idiot. Marjorie Taylor Greene is an absolute idiot. At least on this subject she is. She has no idea. They're all following Massey off the cliff. Massey, a radical libertarian, who most of you would have nothing in common with. Zero. Nothing. You see these votes in Congress, you'll have like every single conservative, constitutionalist, Republican, and then Massey. He's free to do that. It's okay. But he's not the people, we the people. Neither is Green, who's now attacking Donald Trump. There's the other thing. They want fealty and purity to Donald Trump. Okay, I get it. But they keep attacking him. They attack his policy when it comes to Iran. They attack his policy when it comes to national security. When he took out Suleiman, they attacked him. She's attacking him now because they dismantle their nuclear weapons and their ICBM systems so they can't hit America, and that includes you, Georgia. Either they do it in a peaceful agreement or the president says he's going to take them out. They're attacking him. I'm supporting him. They're attacking him. I'm supporting him. Oh, Mark, that's because you whisper in his ear. I haven't talked to the president. He called me. He asked me to go on his council about this. I don't think ever. As a matter of fact, ever. Now that I'm sitting here thinking about it. Ever. So who's whispering in his ear? Who? The fifth column isolationists. They're the ones whispering in his ear. President Trump built this massive coalition. Genius. Brilliant. He's a leader. And we have these Lilliputians who claim they represent MAGA and the American people. Based on what? Based on nothing. Zero. Zero. And no, Margaret, what's her name? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be rude. No, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He's not undermining the base. You are. And you speak for yourself and your district, perhaps. You don't speak for the 14.5 million listeners that I have. And if you think it's okay for Iran to get a nuclear weapon, then say so. Get up and say it's okay for Iran to have a nuclear weapon with intercontinental ballistic missiles that can hit our cities. Put that press release out. Send it to your constituents in Georgia. Do it. It's okay. Who hit us on 9/11, Marjorie? Who hit us on 9/11? Who attacked our Marine barracks, Marjorie? Who attacked our 2 embassies, Marjorie? It wasn't the Jews. It wasn't the evangelical Christians. These people give aid and comfort to the Islamists. That's what they do. They sound so similar to the Marxists these days, don't they? They do to me. And by the way, little creepy sites like Mediaite, run by that clown, Dan Abrams. Why do you even exist? Oh, you know what Mark Levin said about Marjorie Greene? Oh, you know what Trump said about this? You know what are they, a bunch of little girl gossips? What are they over there? It's disgusting. They're pathetic. See the Drudge Report? Does anybody even look at it unless you're a hardcore nutjob on the left? Authoritarianism is on the rise.
Mark Levin. Making your weekend even better. This is the best of Mark Levin.
I'm not a politician. I don't want anything from anybody, let alone the government. I seek no office. None. Zero. But Mark, you were appointed by Donald Trump. I ask for nothing. Nothing. I do my own writing. The others don't. I do my own thinking. The others don't. This is who I am. This is what I've always been. I try and figure out, using my own noggin, what's right and what's wrong, what's good and what's evil, and how to ensure with you, all of us together, the survivability of this republic, despite the enemy within and the enemy without. I believe in loyalty, and I believe in alliances. People who share certain belief systems and values, working together, not only within our country, but outside our country. Otherwise, the enemy will destroy us. The enemy will unite with other enemies and destroy us if we do not unite with people of like mind and belief systems to fight them, or at least prepare to do so should we be attacked. I'm not an isolationist because the enemy's not an isolationist. I don't believe in appeasement because appeasement has resulted in the death of millions and millions of our fellow human beings. I give no inch to the Marxists who've killed 100 million people, no inch to the socialists who have destroyed economies, lifestyles, created impoverishment in one so-called democracy after another. I don't care who has a big voice, who has a small voice, who has a big podcast, who has a small podcast, who's a big radio show or a small radio show, whether they're on TV or not on TV. That is irrelevant. Tell me, who was on TV 30 years ago? You don't know. Who was on radio 60 years ago? Some of you know. Most people don't. Get my point? When people sound stupid, they're stupid. When people sound like they're nuts, they're nuts. They're not new. They're not inventing something. They're not developing new ideas. They're losers. That's what they are. You know, life becomes complicated, but life's principles are not. The golden rule, the 10 commandments. Be decent to other people. Tell the truth. Don't lie to your audience. I'm not into this cult of personality stuff. Well, what did Tucker say? Or Joe Rogan? Or this one or that one? If they say good things, good. If they say stupid things, then they're stupid. That's the way it is. And if they say anti-Semitic things, then they're poison. I love this country. I always have and I always will. And so do you. That's what I care about. My country and my family and my fellow citizens. It's that simple. I don't have any sugar daddies funding my program. I don't have any ideologues funding my program. I don't have any foreigners funding my program. I'm as clean as can be. Straight as can be with you. I hide nothing. Nothing. I don't have any weird relationships that would cause me to come on this program and lie to you. I can't say that for some of the others, that's for sure. That's for sure. I treat you like I treat my family and my friends, because you are my family and friends as well. I don't have other people write my books and then slap my name on it and then do book signings and book events. I can't look you in the eye on the few book signings that I do, whether at the Reagan Library or Bookends or Barnes or wherever. I can't look you in the eye. When you stand in line, you pay your hard-earned money, we shake hands, I thank you for coming, and I'm selling you crap that I never wrote. I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't promote products on this program that I don't believe in. I get a whole long list of them. Right, Mr. Producer? How many times do I say no? No, no, no. Other people, it doesn't matter. It could be hemorrhoid cream. It could be whatever it is. They'll say it. They'll push it. I can't do it. I can't do it. And I'm not going to do it. You've got one life to live. Live it well. Live it so when that day comes and you're going to meet God, we're not perfect, but you knew you did the very best you could. That's how I think. What am I going to say to God when I meet him? You might think I'm simplistic. That's fine. That's what I do. You know, when you write a book, as an example, it's a very soulful experience. It's a soulful experience. You have to dig down deeply. You've got to think things through. You really have to give it your all. Give it your best. Especially when you write books like I do. My wife always says, boy, you pick the tough subjects. This isn't a brag. This is a fact. I could retire tomorrow and not miss a beat. I don't need any more money. I'm not saying that to be rude or obnoxious. I'm saying that to convey to you that I do this because I want to do it. I don't need sugar daddies from overseas or anywhere else funding me. I want nothing to do with them. I don't want anybody funding me. We're in the market. We have advertisers and so forth and so on. That's how it works, the free market. I love the free market. It's real competition. Socialism isn't competition. Protectionism isn't competition, Mr. Hawley. Open capitalism. That's where people are freest. This is where people have opportunities. This is how poor people become non-poor. And I'll tell you one other thing. I don't like politicians. Certain politicians I like, don't get me wrong, as you well know. But as a rule, guilty until proven innocent. There's politicians I like. Some of them are on the program. You hear me praise them and thank them and so forth and so on because they're cut above. They're cut above. But as a general matter, I don't like them. I'll have some on here from time to time. I won't do a conga line of senators and congressmen just to fill time. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Journalism today is a lie. There is no real journalism today. There are pockets of journalism, the exception, but the rule is there is no real journalism today. That's why I wrote on freedom of the press. How do I know? They've told us. They've told us what motivates them. They told us how they go about doing their business. You see who these corporations hire. It's an ideology of one kind, not another. You see NPR and PBS. It's outrageous. And I think I speak for millions and millions and millions of you in these views. Or I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be here. And you wouldn't be there. You know, AM radio, our wonderful AM affiliates, they're struggling. They're fighting like hell to hold on. And I want to do everything I can to help them. We need radio, AM and FM radio. We need it. We excel at it. And we also should embrace the new technologies, podcasting, satellite radio, streamlining, and so forth and so on. And we do on this program. We're on every one of those platforms. But AM radio and FM radio, Look, there's only so many people who can do this well. There's only so many people who are syndicated and have real audiences, serious audiences. It's the marketplace. It's capitalism. And what I mean by do it well is treat you, the audience, with the respect that you deserve. The respect that you deserve. When I get upset on this program, or I'm passionate on this program, or angry on this program, that's me. It's not an act. I can go from being cerebral in 1 minute, from being very passionate in the next. This is my life. This is who I am. And many of you are the same way, whether it's at the dinner table, the breakfast table, stuck in traffic, or whatever it is. Open your damn mail every day. There's always some crap in there, some bill you're not expecting. And I don't even like looking at my mail anymore. Do you, Mr. Producer? There's always something in there. I don't know what it is. But that's who we are. I've always said there's a difference between philosophy and ideology. Philosophy is a thoughtful reasoning process. You come to a philosophical point of view and you may change it or adjust it. But ideology is not. Ideology is what the Islamo-Nazis are. Ideology is what the fifth column isolationists are. Forever wars. Everything's a forever war. Even when the war's not even begun, it's a forever war. You're not ideologues. You may have a belief system, a value system, philosophies, but you're not ideologues. There's a difference. I'm not an ideologue. I'm not a journalist. I'm not a phony. I write my books. I'm not a phony. I write my monologues. I'm not a phony. I do my own research. So I cannot stand people who try to pull the wool over your eyes, whether they're in TV or radio or politics. I can't stand it. And yet I see it, even amongst our own. I see it. I'm speaking from the heart here. I see it. And I always have to make a decision. Do I really want to cross the line and start calling these people out or not? So from time to time, I do. A lot of these politicians, they have PR people, communications directors, a lot of people in the bureaucracy, or even cabinet officials and so forth. Same thing. Where should they appear? How should they present themselves? They go in with their 5 or 6 talking points. I can't stand it. I prepare my own show, and sometimes I start this microphone, I go, and I drop everything I was thinking about because I'm thinking about something else that I think is more important because something just happened or something crosses my mind and I want to convey it to you. I hope this helps you better understand why I said the things I said in the first half hour of this program and in yesterday's program about these conniving, grifter, fifth column isolationists, about some of these politicians, not all. Some are very earnest and have given up a lot of an alternative life that they could have led and done very well. So I respect them, and I'm not including them. But the other ones, there's a lot of them.
Mark Levin.
You're listening to the best of Mark Levin.
It's amazing all the people trying to reach me when all I do is post and speak the truth on radio and TV. Apparently I'm confused about things, you see, America. I'm as clear-eyed as ever. I am poised. I'm on my toes, clear-eyed as ever. See what's going on with India and Pakistan now? I mean, they can come to real blows, and they have in the past, and they're both nuclear powers. I think my friend Charlie Kirk, and he is my friend, and he is pro-Israel. I think he said the other day, if I read correctly, that India and Pakistan have nuclear weapons. What about Iran? I think the great foreign policy genius, Margaret Taylor Greene, she put out a whole list of why she hates America and why we, or the imperialists, the colonialists, and everybody but her and everybody before her was a bonehead. It's good to know. I believe she wants to be a member of the United States Senate. The reason we don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon with intercontinental ballistic missiles is that they keep threatening the United States. That seems to me to be very rational, sane, that a country, a third world country, that has no air force, has no ability to defend its nuclear sites, but we're being told to swear off, we'll work out a deal of all deals, with terrorists, who of course always comply with deals. And by the way, they can have nuclear power if they use it for civilian purposes, and for energy, which apparently is why they have a 350-foot deep bunker at their biggest site. Because isn't that where most nuclear utilities operate from, 350 feet under the ground? With advanced centrifuges? Of course. Now, we're not stupid, Mr. and Mrs. America. We're not going to be played. Whatever decisions are made. But we're not going to be stupid. No, America is not a bad country. Now, the other thing is about Iran. I really don't understand this. Iran, maybe they can be part of the world economy, once we have an agreement or something. Iran is a terrorist state. Its people hate the regime. And so I'm sitting here thinking, what happened to the anti-globalism? What happened to we should have no democracy projects? Now I'm hearing about a democracy project without democracy. We don't want that regime to be successful, because if it's successful, it means the people in the country are going to continue to be raped and tortured and murdered. You can have a hands-off policy with respect to regime change, but you don't affirmatively reinforce the regime, do you? Am I missing something there? So democracy project without the democracy, just a project? We welcome you into the world economy. Just behave yourself. Now, when you're part of the fifth column isolationist brigades, your positions become increasingly untenable, increasingly stupid. And it's a grave threat to me and you, Mr. and Mrs. America, the people of the United States. It is a grave threat, this ideology. This ideology. We do not want a nuclear war. We do not want our country hit by nuclear weapons. We do not want the complete obliteration of hundreds of millions of Americans that right now would be unstoppable if somebody had an intercontinental hypersonic missile with a nuclear warhead on its tip. Maybe they'll have 6 missiles, maybe 10, maybe over time 100. Only takes one. You don't play Iranian roulette with a terrorist regime that keeps talking about destroying us. Look at Pakistan now. Pakistan is loaded with terrorists. India is actually a democracy. Now, maybe they don't control the terrorists who attacked India, and didn't just attack India, hit population and tourist centers, and India said enough of this crap. Pakistan, or at least parts of it, has a close relationship with the Taliban. The Taliban have a very close relationship with the Iranians and the Qataris. Now, count me as opposed to playing footsie with all these terrorist regimes. There's just too damn much at stake. Very simple. Some reputable pollster, maybe there's one or two of them left, They ought to put out a question to the American people. Do you support Iran having a nuclear warhead on an intercontinental ballistic missile that can hit the United States or not? And you know what you're going to get? 98% of the American people, with immigration and all, let me change that. 89% of the American people will say, of course not. Of course not. So you and I, we're on the right side of this. It's called sanity. It's called intelligence. We're not ideologues. It's called prudence. It's that simple. This civilian use of nuclear power by Iran. We're not stupid. Civilian use of nuclear power by Iran. Tell me, how many nations, and I'll repeat what I've said before here, how many nations that have a civilian use for nuclear power are we currently negotiating with to ensure that they don't get nuclear weapons? One, Iran. The others aren't seeking nuclear weapons. Iran is. How is it that the disreputable, terrorist-supporting, anti-American, Jew-hating United Nations has a stronger position than the fifth column isolationists in our own country? They know that the Iranians are trying to build nukes. Why? Because they banned scientists from seeing certain of their sites. Now, it's one thing if you're an ideologue and this is your position. Iran can get a nuke. It just has to be managed. I think that's kind of the position of my buddy Charlie Kirk. If I'm wrong, he can text me and tell me, but I think that's what I heard him say. But if that's the position, say it, defend it, explain it. But, as others do, don't lie to us. Charlie doesn't lie. If that's his position, he says it. But others are lying. If that's your position, say it. Iran can get a nuke. Iran can get a nuke. But we're going to negotiate a deal. Now, ladies and gentlemen, they're deals and they're deals. How many deals with terrorists last? Can you name one? How many deals with the Palestinian terrorists have lasted? Not one. Not one. How many deals with any terrorist regime last? None. They're terrorists. They don't comply with the law. They're going to, we have a contract. We have a deal. We're going to honor it. No, they're not. They're buying time. The North Koreans bought time. Pakistanis bought time. They're buying time. No, I'm sorry. This is called reality. You know, I love these guys. They have a realist foreign policy. I am Mr. Realist. I am Mr. Reality. Mr. Reality. You're listening to Mr. Reality right now. They're the ideologues. Their position is ideological, which means no matter what happens, no matter who says what, that's their position. And they're not going to move off the point. Fine. I'm not interested in them. It's not my life's role and goal to influence boneheads. But I will do what I can in my little way, behind a microphone, behind a television camera, on the internet, with the tens of millions of people who listen to this, to alert you so you can draw your own conclusions. I will never lie to you. The Iranians are not interested in civilian nuclear power. Period. They're not. They don't need it. They have no infrastructure for it. Nothing. They're 350 feet in a bunker underneath the earth, among other places. That's the reality. That's real foreign policy. As Pakistan and India have drawn swords, nuclear swords, we don't ever want Iran drawing nuclear swords with us, do we? And don't blame the Jews, and don't blame the Israelis, and don't blame Gerald Ford, and Dwight Eisenhower, and George Washington, and Iraq, and Vietnam, and North. Hey, focus. This is what the fifth column isolationists I'm talking to. Focus! Stop throwing the shiny objects. It ain't going to work. My audience, you. Red-blooded Americans. Many of you have fought in many of these wars. You voted. We got the vote out. We got the man who we wanted. We didn't vote for all these Lilliputians and these reprobates, the whisperers, the special pleaders for Iran, the special pleaders for Qatar, the special pleaders for Ben and Jerry's, for God's sakes. We didn't vote for the anti-Semites. We didn't vote for the anti-Americans. No, we didn't. You can say this about Donald Trump. He loves this country and he loves the American people. You don't have to agree with everything he does, although I've agreed with an awful lot of it. But you know he acts from love of country. Some people do not. You've got people, the fifth column isolationists, who sound like Bernie Sanders. They have the Bernie Sanders foreign policy. They sound like the squad when it comes to economic policy. They sound like socialists, protectionists. That's not we constitutional conservatives. That's not Make America Great Again, which started in the second Reagan term and has been embraced fully by Donald Trump. That's not populism. Insanity is not populism. Self-destruction is not populism. There's nothing popular about it. I guarantee you, the vast majority of the American people, you do not want an Islamo-Nazi regime threatening Americans, the same ideology that took out our towers in New York, tried to take out our Pentagon and did grave damage, tried to take out the White House or Capitol with that plane the heroes took down in central Pennsylvania. The Jews didn't do that. The Israelis didn't do that. The neocons, the warmongers, the enemy did it. The enemy did it. And the enemy's still there. And now they want a nuclear weapon. What do you say, America? Is that okay with you? I don't think so.
Mark Levin. The Great One makes your weekend even better. This is the best of Mark Levin.
I don't know who Danny Savalos is. They say he's an MSNBC legal analyst. I don't know what his views have been on anything else, but his views on due process were correct. We're right on when it comes to illegal immigrants. We have a senator from Oklahoma, Lankford, who has no friggin' idea what he's talking about when it comes to due process. Neither does the befuddled Lawrence Tribe, the Joe Biden of the retired Harvard Law School professoriate. I did spend some time on one of my monologues recently on my Fox program and here explaining in great detail due process. That no, everybody doesn't get due process, number one. Number two, the due process depends on circumstances. Sometimes it's just a formality. Sometimes it's just a show up and then out the door you go. Sometimes it's bigger than that. But for the Democrats and the left, they want to use full-blown due process that's applicable to citizens in every one of these instances in order to ensure you have 21 million people who get backdoor amnesty. That is revolution by immigration. And backdoor amnesty means, unless the Supreme Court fixes this, and I don't think they will, birthright citizenship. The Constitution does not have birthright citizenship, but doesn't seem to matter anymore. So if you have birthright citizenship with all these illegal aliens, and then chain migration on top of that, it's over. It's over. It's that simple. It's over. So Danny Savalos, it has MSNBC, a.k.a. MSLSD, legal analyst, on the Morning Schmo Show. I wouldn't normally play this, but the guy actually said the truth, actually said what is the truth. And we have legal analysts, even on our own side, who don't know what the hell they're talking about. Cut 9. Go.
Federal law allows for even broader and speedy removal than has been used in the past. And expedited removal, as you talked about, allows for summary removal. That means... Hold on.
Summary removal. Now, what's that based on? Federal law. And there's nothing unconstitutional about it. Zero. It's been used. It's been in place long before Donald Trump was president the first time, which means long before he was president the second time. Got it? Go ahead.
Hearing, possibly within 24 hours. It hasn't been used as broadly as, say, the Trump administration might want to use it, but under the statute, it is permissible to remove aliens who arrive at the border, and even those who have been here for 2 years, although that 2-year provision you talked about is the lesser used in practice. But just because it isn't used very often doesn't mean it's not a part of federal law that can be used. And it will be used because it's permitted under federal law.
No, stop there. Stop right there. I've said this myself. It seems to go over the heads of many of these people. It's in federal law. I've also explained that the Supreme Court has issued several opinions involving when, if, and how due process applies, most of which provides no consistent policy. But anyway, go ahead.
System decided that aliens who arrive at the border, and they define people who arrive at the border as people who have even been here 2 years, if they have fraudulent documents, if they don't have sufficient documents, they can be removed in an expedited fashion unless they seek asylum. So,
stop. Right. So they can be removed on the spot because they have phony documents. Let me give you an example. If you're an American citizen and you're in the car and you have a phony driver's license and you're stopped, you can be immediately arrested and sent to jail. Now you'll get a hearing and all the other things that follow, but for the time being, you'll go to jail. If you're an illegal alien, you come across the country and you have phony documents, you could be snatched and removed. There's no reason for a hearing other than a rubber stamp. Go ahead.
To those due process concerns, at least presumably because that statute, as it exists today, is still valid. Now, that's not what's at stake with the Venezuelans and the Alien Enemies Act. But the government's argument is that, hey, court, listen, you're telling us we need to provide notice. Well, take a look at this federal law. It says that we don't even need to have a hearing. It can happen within 24 hours. So if that's good enough for people who arrive here who are aliens, it's certainly okay for people that the president has deemed to be alien enemies.
So let's stop here. You understand the president has plenary power here. He's got enormous power, not just this president, any president. I remember when the state of Arizona was trying to force the Obama administration, when the governor there was trying to force the Obama administration to apply Section 287. I don't need to get into the weeds, but to apply the section of the statute that required local and federal government to work together, that is ICE and local authorities or state authorities, to detain and remove people who are here illegally. The Obama administration wouldn't do that. So the lawsuit was brought by Arizona, and the Supreme Court said, sorry, Arizona, basically the feds have plenary power here. You don't. So now it's the reverse. Okay, plenary power. So the President of the United States is saying, okay, you're out of here. You Venezuelan gang members, you're terrorists. You've been sent here by Maduro. Get out of here. No, you don't understand. What? What changed? What are you talking about? He used an old law. Well, that old law is newer than the Constitution. They keep citing due process under the First Amendment, the Bill of Rights adopted by the first Congress and then sent to the states for ratification. That's older than the law that they're saying is too old. That's number one. Number two, the president has every authority to say this is an invasion when another country is sending its people into this country. The word war is not in the statute. It's not war. It's invasion. That's what immigration's about. The movement of people. An invasion. Go ahead. That's it. So this guy was pretty good. He said more, but this guy was pretty good. But then there's James Lankford. Now remember Lankford. Lankford was the stooge. I say with all due respect, Lankford was the stooge who did Mitch McConnell's bidding. Remember this, Mr. Producer? Who put together that phony bipartisan bill. Phony bipartisan bill that even McConnell decided to vote against. Coward. They gave the store away when they pretended it didn't. That enshrined in the federal code the actions that Biden had been taking. Even worse. Because you see, the border was secure until it wasn't secure. Then they blamed the Republicans. They blamed Trump. Even though 6 Senate Democrats voted against it too. As I tried to explain again and again and again. But it doesn't matter. It's all a lie. Took willpower. It took Donald Trump. He secured the border. The border is just as tight as it ever has been. It's never going to get any tighter. That's how amazing Trump and his policies are here. Amazing. And it just took the president to do it. No new laws or anything. The whole thing was a ruse. It was a scam. And Lankford was the point guy for the Republicans. And now he's here. Listen to this. Cut 10, go.
What's been confusing on this is some people see due process like as an American citizen. That's a right to a jury trial. That's all those different things. That's not true for due process for someone who's not a citizen of the United States. It's a different process. It's often just literally what people call an immigration judge is not a typical federal judge or a state judge. This is someone that's in the bureaucracy, that their task for DHS is that task on it. So they're a government employee career. That's an immigration judge. So it's a very different process for it. But yes, there's a need to be able to give an opportunity for someone to be able to make an argument before they're removed in the country.
No, but not in all cases. You heard the other lawyer. You've heard me. That's not what the Supreme Court has said in every instance. It's simply not. It's simply not. And don't lecture people like me. Some people think it's full due process. It's the left that wants full due process in order to kill the system. Cloward and Piven. Overwhelm the system. Destroy the system. Because we can't handle that. When the Democrats are talking about due process, they're not talking about administrative due process. They're not talking about this law that Congress passed. An old law still applies, you know. The Magna Carta still applies. The Bible still applies. But this law, you know, this old law, there they are dragging out the Ku Klux Klan Act of 1871 and throwing it at Donald Trump. Oh, that's an old law, but that's a good old law. These people are frauds and phonies. By the way, why does anybody go on CNN? I don't understand why Republicans go on CNN. They literally have no ratings. They have no audience, America. I see the ratings. There's nobody there. Why do they go on CNN? I don't understand it. And what happens is CNN does their gotchas. They get clips. They push it out. But I'm a tough politician, you know. I'll go anywhere. I'll take on anybody. I don't get it. Why go there? At least MSNBC has standards. They're hardcore Marxist Islamists, and they stick with it. They don't want to hear from this Republican or another Republican, just the backstabbers. Just the anti-Trumpers. Those are the only Republicans they want. But at least they have standards, Marxist Islamist standards. They're evil standards, don't get me wrong, but CNN, there's no reason for CNN to exist, let alone MSNBC. But CNN?
Mark Levin. We're giving you nothing but the best of Mark Levin.
There is a new pope. You probably heard he's the first American pope in the history of the Catholic Church. All of that is true. This is not an area of my expertise, and that doesn't matter. Let's see. The prospect seemed unthinkable at one point, writes Breitbart. His name was Cardinal Prevost, I should say, Robert Francis Prevost. He chose the name Pope Leo XIV in succession with Pope Leo XIII, who most famously penned the encyclical Rerum Novarum, which condemned socialism. They write. Breitbart News noted in 2019, It came at a time when the world faced multiple questions about the nature of labor in the midst of industrial revolution. Okay, well, it's a little in the weeds for me, I'm afraid. Now, he was born September 14, 1955. That's my month. I'm September, Mr. Producer. He's 2 years older than I. He was born in Chicago, Illinois. He could have a 20-plus year papacy if he lives into his 80s. His clerical life began in 1977 when he entered the, how do you pronounce this, Rich? You're Catholic. Novitate? You don't know. All right. Of the Order of St. Augustine, before taking his solemn vows in 1981, became an ordained priest in 1982. Over the next several decades, he spent time in both the United States and Peru before Pope Francis appointed him apostolic administrator of the Diocese of the Chicago, Leo, Peru in 2014. He's been a cardinal for only 2 years. Some say his mentor was Pope Francis, and he may have a same ideological approach, but maybe not. It says here, according to various accounts, he holds similar views to his predecessor, Pope Francis, with some differences on contentious issues, per the College of Cardinals report. Well, what does the College of Cardinals report say? Breitbart quotes it. On key topics, Cardinal Prevost says little, but some of his positions are known. He is reportedly very close to Francis's vision regarding the environment, outreach to poor and migrants, and meeting people where they are. He said last year the bishop is not supposed to be a little prince sitting in his kingdom. He supported Pope Francis's change in pastoral practice to allow divorced and civilly remarried Catholics to receive Holy Communion. Prevost appears somewhat less favorable, carrying favor to the LGBTQ lobby than Francis, but he showed mild support for something I can't pronounce. As Bishop of Chicago, Leo, I guess that's Chicagoland, among other... No, that's not actually. He also opposed a government plan for teaching gender theory in schools. The promotion of gender ideology is confusing because it seeks to create genders that don't exist, he told a local news media. According to the New York Times, Prevost faced some controversy while Bishop of Chicago when handling the investigation. Look, I'm not going to get into all this. The guy is a clean slate. It's only a matter of time. People will make their own conclusion, but it is exciting, even for me. I'm not Catholic, but it's still exciting that we have a pope from the United States, and hopefully things will work out very well. The one pope I know a whole lot about was John Paul II. He was a truly, truly great man. He was an anti-communist. He was on the conservative side. If not conservative, the Russians tried to assassinate him. He worked very closely with President Reagan, Prime Minister Thatcher, Helmut Kohl, Germany, and he helped lay the groundwork for the overthrow of the communist regime in Poland. Lech Walesa as well. The Catholic Church had a major role in that. This is what I think, and not just the Catholic Church, but other churches, the Jewish organizations too. This is where they're best, where they stand up to tyranny, where they stand up to these despots, whether they be Marxist, fascist, or Islamist. This is where I think they have the best impact, and they understand that both Christianity and Judaism and Islam, in certain respects, that is, not the radical terrorist Islams, but people who practice Islam and are very decent human beings and so forth, that all of us should be speaking out against the forces of terrorism, communism, fascism, and autocracy. Because, of course, they target religion, they target faith, they target the ability to even practice your faith. And in the case of the Islamists, they want to murder anybody who doesn't practice the way they insist that things should be practiced. So I hope, what do I know? But I hope this cardinal is more sort of along the lines of John Paul II, who I think will be a historic figure for as long as there is mankind. I really believe that. and his contribution to liberty and democracy and humanity is really incredible. And of course, I say that as a Jew, but why shouldn't I? Just incredible. All right, I can't add a lot to this, but I wanted to start off with it because I know it's important. It's certainly important to a lot of people. So Cardinal Robert Francis Prevost is now the first American Pope in the history of the Catholic Church. Nobody expected it, I don't think. All right, now back to my wheelhouse. Also from our friends at Breitbart, FBI investigating mortgage fraud claims against New York Attorney General Letitia James. Writes Amy Furr, the Federal Bureau of Investigation is in fact reportedly opening a criminal investigation, or has, into New York Attorney General Letitia James, who's targeted President Donald Trump regarding alleged mortgage fraud. Looks like an open and shut case, as far as I'm concerned. But what do I know? A lot. This is something I know a lot about. Let's go to the New York Post. The investigation, first reported by the Albany Times-Union, follows a request that the Justice Department investigate James, sent by Federal Housing Finance Agency Director William Pulte to the Justice Department last month. New York's Northern District, where Pulte's referral was steered, is led by U.S. Attorney John Sacrone III, an ally of President Trump. Well, mortgage fraud, first of all, you don't appoint U.S. attorneys who aren't at least known to the president. That's number one. They're political appointments. And number two, this was an obvious case. By the way, Pulte, I wonder if that's Pulte Holmes, if that guy's. Representative Elise Stefanik, I love this lady. I think, in fact, she'd be a great president. And I have her on my show Saturday night. Elise Stefanik on Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Now, Stefanik, who represents the district where the investigations were initiated, commended the FBI and Albany prosecutors. He said the investigation into Letitia James is a vital step toward justice. I will continue to fight to expose New York corruption, protect constitutional rights, and hold these failed Democrat leaders in New York accountable. You know, she is fearless. Stefanik is really fearless. Now, Pulte's letter alleged James falsified records to obtain favorable loans on a home she purchased in 2023. This is while she's going after Trump, in Virginia, and a Brooklyn brownstone she's owned since 2001. The Democrat also allegedly indicated the Virginia home would be her, quote-unquote, this is from the filing, her principal residence, while acting as New York's top cop, and that she misrepresented the number of units in her Brooklyn residence. She said there were 4, there are 5. Ms. James, for both properties listed above, appears to have falsified records in order to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms, Pulte told Attorney General Pam Bondi. Can amount to criminal charges, including wire fraud, mail fraud, bank fraud, false statements to a financial institution, among other things, Pulte added, and they ought to throw the book at her. They ought to throw all the books at her. In fact, they ought to hit her over the head with all the books, as far as I'm concerned. She's a fraud, a phony, and a fool. She's abused the justice system for political purposes, and here she is, flat out, allegedly, reportedly, but it looks like undeniably, a crook. A simple, pathetic crook. The FBI and U.S. Attorney's Office in Albany didn't immediately return requests for comments, but I'll give mine nonetheless. She's previously dismissed the allegations as baseless and claimed the referral was part of a revenge tour by the president. Oh, yeah, revenge tour. He told you to file false mortgage documents? Is your residence in Virginia? Is your daddy your husband? Do you have 5 units in that brownstone or 4? That's simple. She famously professed no one is above the law when she launched her investigation into President Trump. Outrageous. A fraud case where there was no fraud. Statute that's never been used. Hey, but what the hell? Due process for illegal alien MS-13 wife-beating human traffickers, but not Donald Trump. The AG's office has retained high-powered attorney Abby David Lowell. Now, Abby Lowell was Hunter Biden's lawyer. Did a fantastic job, didn't he, Mr. Producer? That just tells me she's guilty as hell. Not because she is a lawyer, but because she is Abby Lowell. He only takes cases where clients are guilty as hell. He was retained by the Attorney General's office. Wait a minute. Rather than James in her personal capacity, according to a Times Union report, which means New York taxpayers will eventually foot the bill for his services. Now, why would New York taxpayers have to pay for her lawyer involving criminal charges having nothing to do with her office and everything to do with her enriching herself, Mr. Producer? Why are the New York taxpayers on the bill for Letitia James? Democrats in Albany are expected to sign off on a provision creating a $10 million slush fund state officials can tap to cover any reasonable attorney's fees and expenses incurred, including for probes not directly related to their employment. James plans to rely on both state funds and a private legal defense fund to fight the battle. That sounds like welfare to me, legal welfare, does it not? That's legal welfare, paid for by the taxpayers and also buying influence. People contributing to a private legal defense fund, that's buying influence. This is unethical in every respect because she is. Because she is. Last month, America First Legal, one of the great firms out there, filed a complaint against James with the New York State Unified Court Systems Committee on Professional Standards, which oversees disciplinary matters for lawyers licensed in the state. Of course, I'm sure that's loaded with left-wing kooks. If Ms. James is engaged in fraud by deceiving her lenders and the government to obtain financial benefits she would otherwise not be entitled to, then she is engaged in professional misconduct, violated her obligations as a lawyer, and is subject to discipline by the New York Bar, said the letter by AFL sent about 2 weeks ago. Oh, Letitia, we hardly knew you. Oh, yes. I wonder when she goes to prison with that XXX large orange suit. I wonder when she goes to prison if she'll use the Democrat line that women are men and women and everything in between. I wonder what kind of prison she and her lawyer will demand that she serve her time in. Really, I wonder. Could be interesting. And I hope she has a lot of cigarettes, too, because as I understand it, she likes to chow down, and you can trade cigarettes, for an extra muffin or maybe an egg. Oh, yeah.